Hello and welcome to the DXDAO Monday, 22nd of February 2021 DXDAO BizDev call. For today's BizDev call, we have on the agenda a new member introductions, and I see a few people already. A quick discussion about multi-network deployment and yes or no to talk about specifically Binance. I've got a small update on the DXDAO basically mainnet reputation and how we could do that, kind of related to governance as well. And then kind of like open discussion and we can see what comes up, fairly light agenda. But yeah, we can start with introductions. I think Gemino, you are first new and then second with a video. So feel free to introduce yourself, any background, interesting stuff, and yeah. Go for it.
Sure, thanks. Hi, everyone. My name is Eric. I've been kind of lurking in this community for like 6 to 8 months or so, like around when it first launched, and then just kind of snooping around. I'm a full stack web dev, pretty new to development, but I've been like a long-term community member of Ethereum and like pretty well acquainted with a lot of like decentralized technology. And I'm really excited to like build on something like this and contribute and make myself useful where I can. So yeah, happy to be here. Thanks.
And it's Gem one no or Gem no?
Like in my head, I say Gemino. It's like
Gemino.
It's like a curse from Harry Potter.
Okay, yeah.
I have a question. Like, how did you find out about DXDAO? I guess this is kind of like an interesting question.
I'm part of a Discord group that has been together since like 2016, and we just kind of talk about what's going on in this space. And DXDAO came up, and I found it to be like really interesting, and kind of just kept tabs on it.
Nice.
I don't know if I'm lagging or not. My internet has been weird lately. I'm working on fixing that.
You got the green bars. Well, welcome.
Can I ask you why DXDAO is interesting?
Just the idea of like a fully decentralized DAO that governs multiple different protocols and actually has ownership over them is pretty interesting to me. I think it's one of the only ones that actually like owns what they govern, as far as I know. So that's
cool. What would you feel if we launched something on Binance chain from nowhere?
I'm open to a lot of different things. I like experimenting, so it's too early in this space to say like for sure it's just there's so many possibilities. I don't know. Right now I'm feeling like Binance Smart Chain is like kind of like a trend that might die once ETH fees go down, but it remains to be seen.
That's cool. We were just talking about what I think people see us as and why people are interested in us, and I think you kind of said why you thought we were interested, and I think that's why we shouldn't go for Binance Chain.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Well, awesome, Zet, and welcome, Gemino. I think we have Andrew Hyde here as well. Andrew, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey there, Andrew Hyde. Worked in tech for 15, 20 years now. A couple crypto companies and just checking out projects. So more lurking than anything.
All right. How did you find out about DXDAO?
Yeah, one of my friends, Christopher, who I met at ETH Buenos Aires. We were chatting last week about projects he loved, and you were on top of his list. So
nice. Yeah, so I guess we can move on to kind of like the first item on the agenda. Not specifically Binance Chain, but kind of like a multi-network deployment and how that would look like. And I think, if we're not doing Binance, it looks like Polkadot is getting quite some traction. It looks like the Cosmos Tendermint ecosystem is getting some traction. And I mean, are we Ethereum maximalists and we only want to stay on Ethereum, or are we good with like other decentralized chains? Yes, Geronimo. So yeah, it's kind of like an open discussions on this topic.
Should I throw in my 2 cents?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, Adam.
All right. First of all, I don't like neither Binance nor CZ, but I do use Binance. Not the chain itself, but Binance. I have like a $2,000 there. Sometimes I use it for payments because I just route money through Tron network. On the fee side, it's really reasonable, but when it comes to considering Binance Smart Chain, I wouldn't really bother with even putting the idea into an agenda to discuss it. I like Ethereum; it's decentralized, and I would say like I wrote the other day like Ethereum is the Rolex of the blockchains, and I personally like using Ethereum more than the other chains. And I would say like let's try to suck in the gas fees for now until we see the horizon of ETH 2.0, and until then we can just consider XDAI, Arbitrum, and other L2 layers.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess like
2.0.
yeah, or I guess Binance Chain is kind of like it's counter to our, let's say, ethos of the DXDAO. But the question is, what about like Polkadot and Tendermint, so Substrate and Tendermint? These are kind of like two.
I don't know. To be honest, I haven't looked into Polkadot very deep, like deeply. Neither the other project being mentioned. So I don't know. I mean, Polkadot seemed reasonable given that its founder or its founder is a co-founder of Ethereum. Maybe I would say like maybe let's give it like 25% shot that we might consider Polkadot in the future. I mean, some good projects are already working on Polkadot. One of them is the JS Genesis, the team working on JoyStream. So basically, it's a decentralized version of YouTube, and they're straight already working on Polkadot, and they're not working on Ethereum.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we can allow us to wait 1.5 years for ETH 2.0.
That's what I'm saying. Like let's consider XDAI, Arbitrum, until we have a fully pledged working Ethereum 2.0.
I don't think we should feel that we need to solve these gas issues. We just explore the alternatives. We try them out. We learn how to deploy on other layers, and then like stuff will be put in pieces automatically, and I think we will be ready for it. On the product level, we are much more like we can try. We're already trying out like 2 different layer 2s on Swapper, and we even launched the main version of it. So I think no one right now has an answer. There's no natural layer 2, no natural like another chain either. Like Ethereum is still the king, and we should experiment, but we shouldn't like move from Ethereum.
Yeah, I think communication is key, because we've already, like, XDAI is a big compromise compared to mainnet Ethereum, but we've communicated that it's an experiment. We're expanding. We're not leaving. We're doing the same with Arbitrum. That's real layer 2, but we're open to trying. Even though we are decentralization maximalists, we're open to trying other things as long as they're relatively decentralized. But communication of that to community and like future partners and things is key. Like we've aligned ourselves with, like with Status, for example, partnership. Like we'd like to align ourselves with projects and entities that have the same core values as us. And as long as we communicate that, we can try things, and Binance Chain would not be that core value, but Polkadot and other layer 1s could be similar core values.
I would say if Binance Chain was just another company out there, another project out there, not connected to Binance, we might have like thought about it, right? But now they're connected to this super centralized entity, and people already talking about how centralized it is. It would be damaging for us to attach us for that on that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would be talking about Binance if the price wasn't skyrocketing, to be honest.
But wait, so it didn't skyrocket until people started actually, or the numbers said people started using it. So I actually followed exactly what happened, and it's just interesting. I think it was a push from Binance side. I think a lot of these numbers are not real, but people like these numbers and will follow trends and follow where the money goes. I think this is very healthy. People are talking about layer 2s. People talking about what is next. For Swapper, this is very good because we're actually seeing a lot of layer 2 Uniswap forks getting traction and attention. And I think this will actually open people's eyes of like, hey, it doesn't need to be on layer 1, doesn't need to be Uniswap or any other.
Yeah, so like I don't know, my thoughts are maybe to try and get some of these other chains and maybe get them to speak to us. I mean, like to get someone maybe from Cosmos, we can present Cosmos and I don't know, trade-offs and stuff like that, get someone from Polkadot, and I don't know if there are any other, oh yeah, I guess maybe Solana as well. Oh shit. Yeah, Andrew is from Solana.
I used to work there.
Oh yeah, you
big fan.
Want to give us the spiel?
It's a bunch of Qualcomm engineers that worked on a lot of their kind of like next tech self-entire technology. So they used kind of that philosophy to build a new chain. It's absolutely fast. Good team, strong global support. Proof of history is their big innovation. But yeah, I mean, sub-second finality.
Yeah, could be cool to actually
like we have like a lot of options right now. I don't think to replace mainnet base, but the question is like, what is the next like real base which is which fixes all the XDAI issues, right? The bridge is not a good bridge for XDAI. Like it's completely centralized. It's 3 companies. It's not a good bridge. XDAI, the network, is also not a good network for us because it's completely centralized. A few companies running that stuff, similar to Binance Chain. The question is, can we have a better XDAI which fixes the bridge centralization and the network centralization? And like right now, looking at all those options, Near is actually the only decentralized network which has also a decentralized bridge.
And is it also EVM?
And the question is like, and that's the question: is the tooling exactly like XDAI, and can we basically just like replace XDAI for all our stuff on Near? I'm not shilling Near. I don't have Near bags, but right now in terms of like decentralized bridge, Near is probably the only one which has a complete connection to Ethereum.
Geronimo, what about optimism? Has anyone researched
Good question.
Yeah,
like
so yeah. I think it's important, as Sky alluded to, right, that to recognize that XDAI is not a layer 2, right? It's another side chain. I think Arbitrum is a team that we're already in touch with, that we've already deployed on testnet with Swapper. And as far as I can tell, it looks like Arbitrum will be the first kind of EVM compatible layer 2 solution to be live on mainnet. that anybody can deploy to. Optimism may be live on mainnet, but with exclusive relationships and not open to anybody to deploy on. And so in the bigger context there is these are optimistic rollups, and they're actually layer 2s. They might not be as good as some of the ZK rollup technologies in terms of usability and finality and stuff. But that the ZK rollups aren't EVM compatible yet. And so that might be the eventual thing. So I guess it's to me, it seems like the target should be L2 because that's tied to Ethereum and therefore more decentralized. But I think that kind of why do we go to XDAI? Why are we doing this stuff now? It's because we're kind of stuck right at the moment, and we shouldn't stop product development, and we shouldn't stop learning about the users. So we need somewhere to operate while we're waiting essentially for L2.
Yeah, and keep in mind, this isn't my conclusion, but you hear this from Vitalik and other people. Everyone, we're not waiting for ETH 2.0. ETH 2.0 alone isn't going to solve these problems. It's just a multiple, 64 times Ethereum or something, right? If it worked and it connected. L2s like Optimism and Arbitrum, which are going to run on ETH1 and eventually on ETH2, those are the things that can scale to millions and millions and maybe billions of people and transactions and things. So there's no waiting for ETH2. If L2s work, we could just have we can just have ETH1. We don't need ETH2, but we're probably going to have ETH2 and it's going to help, but ETH2 is not going to answer the massive scaling problems. So L2s are
proof of stake does not
answer.
equal huge scalability.
But the most important thing is these L2s like Loopring, which is a great working example, and other real L2s have the security of Ethereum, right? Currently Ethereum 1 security and ETH2 security will be different. It's a proof of stake security. So it might be more, it might be less, who knows? But that's the most important thing, is the decentralized permissionless security of Ethereum. And so real L2s is where the future is going to be. And other chains like Polkadot and Near and stuff could, and Solana potentially could eventually become the security could be as decentralized as or near as decentralized as Ethereum and Bitcoin. But I think that's the most important thing.
I have a comparison to this in the real world. So when 4G and 5G were gonna be released, people were like, hey, when is this coming out? And they started slowly releasing it. But what they made it clear, even if there's 4G, not everyone will be on 4G at all times, right? You only need 4G when you need that data. I think for Ethereum, it's going to be the same thing. Trades is going to be used for something, and smart contracts is going to be used for another thing. So it's going to be interesting where, for at least for me, for us, on Swapper, where is trading going to be on and where's the liquidity going to be? And I think Uniswap will have a big say on this, and or it depends on if someone actually comes up with a better solution. But I think this is what's going to happen, and I don't think there's one solution. Therefore, it's good for us to just test out, try out, and early on, see what's the benefits of these different things, and maybe we ourselves will be early on the solution.
Yeah, there's a huge difference between what will happen over the next year or two, and then the 5-year trend. I think there's some agreement on the 5-year trend is either going to be ZK rollups take over everything, or there's an ETH 2.0 sharding solution. Or all of these other chains are kind of competing in the same battle to scale blockchains, whether it's Solana, whether it's Near, whether it's all of these one. That's the 5-year battle that everyone's competing against here. And so I think that one, this is what happens over the next year. The most important thing to us though is very simply EVM compatibility. Like we could not deploy or do something on another chain that's not EVM compatible for like the next year. So like I'm interested in the Polkadots and the Cosmos of the world, but I don't know how realistic they are now. In the same way, I don't think any of the ZK rollups that are likely to be the long-term solution are much of use right now. So I think that's why we've landed up on XDAI in the very short term and then optimistic rollup in the long term. Two other things I wanted to say were, I think this shows that products last. You know, the chains are in the background. We'll figure out the way that they all connect, but we should be thinking about our products and our governance as like independent of different chains, whether that's the Ethereum mainnet or we're going to these different bases. Like we're doing this, I know a lot with Swapper, right? And thinking about how it can help shift between different chains. And I think that should be tied into the products. We're getting a lot of experience in deploying to different chains. Federico has done 2. He's probably done more chains almost than, you know, maybe anyone else. And then the last thing I wanted to say is on XDAI. We do only have, and in the proposal that's about to pass to authorize the XDAI base, hopefully, that would put 100 ETH into the XDAI base. And then it also says we shouldn't have more than $500,000 worth of assets. So that's like little more than 1% of DXDAO's assets. I don't think we should be putting like that much of DXDAO's assets onto XDAI. When I think about decentralization, like that's a huge concern. And I think about like where the money and the assets and the treasury can sit outside of Ethereum mainnet. Like security is like super, super important. And there's like nothing that comes close to rivaling like mainnet Ethereum right now. But I think we can like explore different areas as long as they don't become a significant like investment or burden or like decentralization risk or just like kind of threat to the overall ecosystem. But that doesn't mean we can still kind of explore those different options.
Yeah, definitely think we should, continue exploring these things and be on top of all of it. Yeah, I guess this is like the main thing that's happening in Ethereum nowadays anyway. Should we move on to the next topic? I think maybe I missed what you said, Sky, but I guess Sky has an update for Luna, so maybe you can update that, Sky?
Yeah, there's a little. So initially, Luna wanted to do an IDO with DXDAO's products. I'm not exactly sure where the IDO portion would still be happening. They ended up doing a private raise, so maybe they're not doing an IDO initially. Maybe they just want to release their token, but they have they've mentioned discussion and plan for doing liquidity mining for their token, which once it's live, and that could be one of the first use cases for using Swapper liquidity mining farming functionality that is coming out with version 1, I guess, Swapper. So that conversation is still happening in the background, and I think there's a lot of aligned interests between Luna and DXDAO. So I think they have like a natural tendency to want to do something with DXDAO. So that's still going on. Chris, what I wanted to figure out is who. I know Chris you had spoken with them in the past, and initially Ingemar was the main contact, but we just want to make sure that we're like in touch with them in the right manner, and maybe we can create a new chat if the old chat was messed up. But that would be an interesting first use case. And once you have one example of someone using liquidity mining on Swapper, it makes it a lot easier to show that to other projects. And there's tons of projects that could incentivize pools. And if it works on Swapper and it's easy and the functionality is there, I think we can use that use case, maybe even make a public case study of it, and then use that to show it to other projects as well.
Yeah, that sounds good. Anything you want to say, Chris?
Well, I was going to say XDAI was the only thing I was thinking with Aluna.
Yeah, with Swapper.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's another question is like, as we roll out Swapper, are we going to have the same functionality and all the same tools on both XDAI and mainnet? Because if no one wants to do anything on main right now, then that would imply that we should have all of this same functionality on XDAI, and then maybe future chains or future scaling solutions as well. But it's important to have it on both, I think.
The idea is to have everything mirrored on all chains.
Cool.
But technically, Federico maybe can answer this.
So is the question if we already have everything on XDAI? Because if that's the question, the answer is yes. I mean, the liquidity, like the farming and all of that is on XDAI. It should be like the contracts should be owned by the DAO already. So yeah, that's it. If there are any problems, we can always just redeploy them and change stuff. But we should be, well, I mean, I don't want to say this, but we should be like 80% ready, something like that.
Cool. So if we agree that all the functionality of Swapper will be on both chains, it's important to then focus on DXDAO's capital and also driving capital to both of those as well. You don't want to launch on both chains and just have capital in one. We're going to have a focus to have capital on both to make them both usable, which we haven't really talked too much about, but we can start steering that direction.
We should at least have, like the bases, some of the imported bases, some liquidity on there, but the aggregation should also help a little bit. So it's usable, and then we can build up our liquidity with farming and incentive programs.
Yeah, I wonder with farming, especially because like what's being priced out now is like claiming. Like people are going to spend $15, $20, $25 to claim tokens for whatever they're doing. So I wonder if like farming could prove to be useful on XDAI, especially for smaller traders, investors.
Is claiming on XDAI, does it cost $25?
No. I'm saying on mainnet it does, but on XDAI it will be like less than a cent or something.
Yeah. So the other powerful thing that DXDAO has is multi-product, and within those multi-products, we can have those. We're going to have those products on multi-chain, right? Mainnet and XDAI. So HoneySwap is only on XDAI, and Uniswap is only on, and SushiSwap are only on mainnet, right? So a project like Aluna or anyone who wants to do something with DXDAO for a liquidity pool, we have the ability to do it on mainnet and on XDAI, right? And so no one else can do that. So that may be projects that want to like let smaller people and whales participate in something. That's a huge benefit that we could allow that same pool on both chains, and we can actually make the UI really good with a bridge in between, so you could go between those two pools. And that's a benefit that DXDAO has that other projects don't have.
Cool. Should we move on to the next topic? Yeah. So something we've been discussing over the past couple of weeks is to do with the different bases on different networks, and then how do you update them to match mainnet. And I've been working with Oren to kind of like design how this could work, and we'll make basically a DAO talk post soon from our new entity as well. And yeah, like basically a calculation will need to be done off chain for this, like the difference that I don't know, Chris got on XDAI and on Arbitrum and on Polkadot or whatever, and then like we can decide what the protocol is, but every like 3 months there'll be an update, and like the process in itself is fairly secure. So yeah, like we'd be able to mint reputation to up to 100 addresses with one proposal. And yeah, I guess we can chat about this tomorrow as well in the dev call. Yeah, I don't know, any questions about that?
Looking forward to it. The DAO Talk post.
Yeah, all right. Anything else we have on the agenda? Like, there's nothing else, basically. We could talk about, I don't know, maybe Discord. I think some people mentioned, like, I don't know, like people mentioned moving like one channel to Discord because it's like more of a community channel. But my thoughts is like, do we want to stay on Keybase forever if everything's happening on Discord, even though it's like super, I guess, centralized and a very big violator of privacy? But yeah, this is something that I've been thinking.
Yeah. Nylon. Oh, Keenan, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think me and Sky plan on bringing this up actually, and how we should be transitioning as much as possible to Discord. I think so far Discord's been like amazing for the community and building it, and we need to be there more. And I think we're going to start, provided everyone's happy with it, with moving like the product Keybase channels to Discord, and kind of archiving some of the less traction channels. We can start like that instead of like cold turkey, everyone doing it at the same time, because it probably won't work like that. But if we start with just the products and then slowly phase ourselves over there, I think we can make a good change.
Yeah, just to add to that, we have, core Keybase is the core communication now, but some product teams and stuff, those still can maintain like some private internal Keybase channels, but like community discussion, which used to happen more and more in Keybase, like Omen general channel or Swapper general channel. I think the idea is that like wind those down and push the public conversation to Discord. You can also start to have private channels. Like eventually you could get rid of Keybase totally, but as Venki just said, or Violet just said, like Discord could be shut down, I think, too. So that would be a problem.
It was related to like hate speech and something. There was a small group of people in the server that were pretty nasty.
Oh, you talking about GME, GameStop?
Yeah, the Wall Street Discord.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably well deserved. I think the timing is what's kind of questionable.
Yeah.
Right? Like if they had done it, years, months before when that stuff already existed, then it would have been seen totally differently, I think.
I guess, is there any objection to us moving forward with this and slowly kind of consolidating towards Discord?
I mean, I think there's some value to Keybase, and I think there's some value to redundancy, but I think trying to get like the public conversation going on Discord and that being the main place where like the public conversation happens, like makes sense. I don't think we necessarily have to shut down Keybase anytime soon.
Yeah.
So, but should we? There's not really a way to archive Keybase channels. We were like deleting them, I think. And is that an issue to like?
I feel like we're thinking about like conversation moving forward. I think it's like, how do we like make that conversation less about like we're gonna like control X and control V. And I feel like we're slowly developing conversation in like Discord. I think we're going to need to have other, or at least need to have other messaging platforms to like consider to use, because like I don't want everything to run through Discord. And so I think Keybase was fine for some of the people that are already on it. We can continue to coordinate around there. I don't necessarily like the teams. Like I do prefer channels. This is the only thing that's like happening a lot lately. I feel like we're now like on to the teams at the top. But that's like, I don't know, we can figure out something.
This Discord provides social verification processes similar to Keybase. Like that was one big selling point for us at the beginning, that like with Keybase we don't have scam accounts, because as soon as they don't have like any social connections, we know it's like not legit, and it's kind of protecting us from bad people.
Yeah, and I like a lot too what Keybase does with the cryptographic kind of encoding and stuff that becomes really useful in certain situations.
It's also a really good, it's a barrier, right? Because most people in the world don't use Keybase, but if someone is actually, or a project is really interested in interacting with DXDAO and you say, come to our Keybase, if they don't make that effort, because it's a little bit of effort to set up, then they don't get to participate, right? So it's a good barrier.
This isn't about like where like you and I or John and I like decide to communicate, right? Like, is that, I mean, that's like what we're kind of talking part of it here, right? I think there's a completely separate thing is like we need to have conversations in the community on Discord. We need to like develop that, and I think that's completely fine. But I don't mean that means we need to like shift all conversation that's ever existed in DXDAO like onto Discord.
Yeah, nail on the head, Chris.
And I think we could just pare down the channels in Keybase, because it's kind of gotten like there's a lot of different channels that we hardly use, right? And if they're hardly getting used, then just kill them and keep it more manageable.
Yeah. And like when you're going to post in Keybase, think, will this be better posted in Discord?
I would say, like, we don't give the choice. So, like, force people out of their comfort zone and post it on Discord, right? Like, we are DAO, we should be 100% transparent. And if we feel like, hey, this is more for the workers, and like, I don't know, maybe we should be more open with everything. I don't know. If we want to like post stuff privately, yeah, then that's like a private thing. It's nothing to do with the DXDAO. But obviously, Keybase, I think Keybase should still be there in case of like, let's say, Discord gets shut down or taken over, whatever it could be. And we still need the workers to be able to have this decentralized place to talk on.
So, I mean, I think maybe we should start slowly transitioning to Discord with most of the stuff, and then obviously keep Keybase as a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, is there someone here that doesn't use Discord or that don't want to use Discord?
I don't want to.
Yeah, okay. I mean,
yeah,
I do have a Discord, but I don't use it.
You know, there's this YouTube channel of a guy who reads the terms and conditions of different softwares. And like he's a lawyer and he explains them. And he, in his Discord review of the terms and conditions, he's like, this is by far the most overreaching kind of terms and conditions, and like many things that, you know, you wouldn't expect from an app like that. It's kind of like even worse than Facebook. So like this is sort of counter to the entire ethos of crypto, right? But it is by far the best kind of like community management platform. So yeah.
But I think we should be concentrating on like getting Discord to like thousands of, like we're getting that to thousands of people, right? And like we can do that by driving content and having interesting discussions.
All right, allow me to introduce you to the bullish case for using Discord. I don't know about you, but when we talk about DXDAO, there is this sentiment that we're kind of the organization that is delivering behind the scenes. I mean, look at Yearn Finance, look at Curve Finance, look at Swerve Finance. They all have this cool factor that DXDAO is missing. In a sense, DXDAO is missing the community support. It's missing the cool factor within crypto Twitter. Like, go on Twitter and search for DXDAO, you would barely see tweets about us. You would barely see memes about us. Those are the things that kind of drive the community toward progression. But again, it's a choice that we took, that we want this decentralization without having to be the cool kids on the street. So we might, in the next few months, we might want to find balance between being decentralized and also being the cool kids. So maybe add some of draft some content on Discord. Like Keenan should work on this. Get some content creators to create memes for us, etc. I mean, the whole concept about crypto, in a sense, is revolving around memes. I don't know. That would be my 2 cents, but other opinions on this.
I have like I would say we kind of are one team, but we are also different teams. We have different products, and DXDAO is like what is us. But I think still, like, we should, for ourselves, know who we are and what is our brand. I think we should work on the brand and our values and everything, and like, so all of the teams actually knows, like, this is where we are building and this is where we know what we want to do. And then the branding, I would say the branding work we are gonna start to work now will be, think the driving for how we will market ourselves, because I already talked with the firm that will help us with the branding. I said, hey, our name is DXDAO. People look at us at this way, and we decentralize. We work on like the future of how a company should be. People see us as this futuristic but still slow moving, like smart people, and like we should maybe use it instead of seeing it as something bad. We should use this as our brand, right? This is our strength. So when people look at us versus another project, they see it like we are serious. We don't just follow trends or hypes, and we should try to keep that. I think that, like, obviously, yeah, we could do stuff short term and gain from it, but I would say we would lose that self-built brand that we built during this time. I think just if we had a brand to work around, we could use it to drive hype, to drive this mystic, futuristic kind of governance type of company. And maybe we need some drive up the price of our token with our releases, and have new new tokens, and grow our community but by actually us succeeding and releasing stuff. That's my idea is if we do stuff right and start pushing for success, we will get hype out of it.
Agreed. I think a lot of the memes and community kind of fosters around like great products, and yeah, I think those things will come with time and hard work.
But I agree with you, Adam. We should find a balance. Like we can't only just work in the background and hope that we gain hype or whatever it is. We are all product people, and neither of us are like really good marketing people. But I would say let's take one step at a time now, at least, and let's build ourselves internally and what is our brand and how we should look like, and then we can maybe get some nice new marketing people helping us with this.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is about building narrative, and like, I don't think we've done a very good job of this, but like, and I think where DXDAO should be defining itself is the level of decentralization, the commitment to decentralization, and I think that's what sets DXDAO apart. But that narrative doesn't really exist, right? Like that's not recognized by the wider community, even within DXDAO. And it's a tough narrative to build, I think, in a world where every project is now a DAO. Every project has like governance where it's hard to vote on chain and do some of the stuff that we're actually trying to do. But I think that's where the focus should be. We should build that narrative of DXDAO as the most decentralized organization in crypto, if not like the world.
Yeah, so I think trying to look at this from the outside, obviously it's very difficult because we're inside DXDAO, but I think this is the narrative that we are kind of like emitting. I would say that we need a better job at communicating this and like continuously communicating that, whether it's the fact that we are supporting decentralized products or we're like everything is done sort of like a slower way because we are actually decentralized. Everything is ENS domains. So yeah, this is.
I think we need to we need to come up with a way to describe like the speed and movement pattern of DXDAO. Like there's like almost like you have like animals that like run really fast and are like really, really agile. And like DXDAO is not that, but it has like there's some other benefit to like how it like moves and operates. I think you can see this actually starting to illustrate a little bit more when we think about moving to multiple chains and how we're kind of like doing that in this multi-varied way. But like, how do you kind of convey that and wrap it up in a tight?
Well, I think we should be really careful with that because I don't think there's any reason why DXDAO like product development needs to be any slower than other product development. Like the release, like one thing we can't do is hot fixes like a normal startup would do. But I mean, that's the difference between like doing bug fixes and like releasing in a week. That doesn't mean that DXDAO should be slow. So I think we need to be really careful with that because I think it's a pitfall we've had where people think DXDAO equals slow, and I think that's totally wrong. And we need to kill that story, that narrative. We need to stop that dead in its tracks. That's a very bad.
How do you describe it in a way where it's not slow?
I have.
It's like how the narrative is forming now. You can even see like it's kind of like coming up from behind, right? Is like what I would describe it. It's kind of like forming in, and it's like taking over and driving like the bus from there. And I think like that's the I don't know what that is. We just how do we describe what's going on and like drive it?
So I would say it's better for us. That's why it's better for us to not go on these hype trains, because if people already see us as this slow moving product teams and we go on like something hyped right now and then like we are late to that or whatever it is, it's better for us to first of all, like as a brand, seen as something as a team that works on long-term stuff, right? It's not slow per se in the releases, but like if we release something today that is not hyped, we can release it fast, but it's not gonna be like something that drives the price of DXD up now, right? But we believe in it long term.
Long-term oriented, I think, is a good word.
So
we're
I
here
would say,
for the long term, not for the pump, not for like the hype cycle, not to like yield farm our token into like a short-term win, right? Like it's about being long-term focused.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, so there is this element of certain things take a little longer, like to release a product, but that 3 days or 4 days, that's irrelevant in terms of like a real product development cycle. We can be as fast as any other team in terms of actual product development. Like it's not like we write code slower. It's not like we don't have teams without product. Like we have the same team as anybody else, so we can be just as fast. What I think the reason we've fallen into this, I think, is mainly because of how DXDAO was launched and how we rode the coattails of a lot of Gnosis development over the summer and weren't able to like continue momentum on that. And like what has been like made DXDAO look slow relative to like some other products is we've been building up like multiple product teams. But I think we should see ourselves as fast as everybody else, and we should strive to be as fast as everybody else.
I guess I'm like thinking less about products here. I'm thinking more about like just like even like the DAO itself, how it kind of like grows.
Well, yeah, but what is the end user? Like most people in the community are looking at products, right? Like everybody's comparing products. I mean, that's sort of the thing, right? Is nobody even really looks at the governance right now, which is why DXDAO isn't a good good shake. It's all about products and price and features and stuff.
But I mean, we should be thinking about those.
But when you say DXDAO is slow, you got to be very careful.
Okay, I'm talking about how long it's taken us to like put liquidity into Swapper, for instance, and I don't. That's like a governance process. It's like because we're taking a lot of like steps into being like careful with that. And I think that's fine because we're thinking about the long term.
But it's not no. But like it's the reason we're slow with the liquidity is not out of like some necessity in the governance or what DXDAO is. It's simply because we don't have enough devs working on it. That's it. That's the only reason. Like like it takes a couple weeks to do this or that, but
okay. I mean, just all of the deployments for like, I mean, it's fine. I think that I'm just kind of trying to capture what's happened the last couple months more than it is about like other things.
It's much more a problem of dev capacity and speed than it is of anything inherent to DXDAO. And so that's really important for the narrative, right? Like you have to understand that like when
I think
don't do things
is like my argument, right? I think centralization is efficient and it like can be fast moving, and that's the thing what Binance is doing. Like they're pushing out something.
So I agree with you when it comes to consensus, right? Like consensus forming and like is slower with DXDAO, right? Like and necessarily so, but it doesn't mean that like rolling out like a product has to be any slower.
I mean, I agree. I understand. Like, I'm not saying it's like an excuse. I'm just trying to, there's different. You don't want to play on each other's tracks, right? Is what I'm just thinking. I was thinking specifically about Binance.